Hello there. Now it's all over. We know who the winner is. Thank God we still have our homeland, Ghana. And we pray and hope that we'll continue to live in unity, prosperity, and love, and pray and hope and work hard for the best for Ghana, because that's all we have. Anyway, with that out of the way, with the elections out of the way, waiting for January 7th for whoever it is to be sworn in, well, let me tell you this. Stroke is real. We are getting to the end of the year. Have you done your health check? I've told you several times that I'm a health freak. But yes, I need to do my health check, my medicals before the year ends. But seriously, we are going to talk about stroke. It's something that we joke with. We hear about it. We all know somebody who suffered stroke, but somehow we think it can never happen to us. As we go into Christmas, what do we have to watch out for? As we go into the year 2021, what are the things that we need to change? And just in case, well, we don't want it to happen to us. So we know somebody, or we see the signs and symptoms in somebody. What do we do? Where do we go to? Well, it's a program and a half for you today. And let me say thank you to GTP for my cloth. This is what they call instruma. Yes, instruma. And most of the time people wear instruma for funerals and, but it is not, you can rock it whichever way you want. Yeah, it depends on how you style it. And I say thank you to Ophelia Crossland Design for making this outfit for me. Thank you so much. I look very South African, but I'm very Ghanaian and very much a fancy woman, married to an Akwemu person. So very, very Ghanaian. Thank you to Inshallah GH for my hair, my makeup products by Con Professional Makeup, and Face Beats by @IAM_JCloud. We take a break. When we come back, stroke. The clear and present danger that you and I need to watch out for. We'll be back. Welcome back to The Standpoint, and I repeat, hey, no matter what the result, whether your party won or lost, this is Ghana, yeah? Life goes on. Life goes on. So let's put everything behind us and move forward as a nation. But today we are talking about the dangers of stroke. We are going to learn about it, what causes it, what the symptoms are, the treatments, the dangers. We are going to learn everything about that because 2020 has stolen so much from us that 2021 will have to be nice. In fact, we have to go in there fighting to stay healthy and get it right. Let me say thank you to our sponsors, Con Professional Makeup. Their makeup very light on the face. It lasts long. Very little spreads so well. And so you buy one bottle and it can take you very, very far. They have all the shades for all the skin tones. The lipsticks, everything is very light. I mean, Christmas, we are not going to paint our face. We are going to polish. We are already beautiful. We just polish up. And balloons and accessories, restaurant balloons and accessories, everything balloons and accessories. You see the set, really looking nice and beautiful. They did it for us. They did the decor for us. I'm so grateful to them. Everything balloon. Balloons are for all locations. So get in touch with them and they will sort you out. Now to my guest for today. To my extreme left, is Dr. A.O. Chawe-Feli. She is a neurologist. Welcome to The Standpoint.
Thank you very much.
I wish we could see. I wish you could take it off briefly for us to see your face and then you put it on.
Really fast.
Really fast. Awesome. Okay, and then next to her, I have Dr. Benjamin Sarkodie. He is vascular specialist and interventional radiologist. My spectacles are here, but I won't wait. Oh, God. Okay. So we have Dr. Benjamin Sarkodie. He is a vascular specialist and interventional radiologist. Welcome to the welcome back to the Standpoint. Well,
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here again.
yeah, and thank God this time it's on education.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and next to Dr. Sarkodie, I have Dr. Frida Dodd Glover, and she is a physician specialist from Kolibu, right?
Yes, exactly.
Good to have you on the Standpoint. But Dr. Chawe Feli and Dr. Benjamin Sarkodie are from Care. And let me tell you a bit about Care, because this particular program is being sponsored by Care. You know, just indulge me a bit. And now Care Advanced Diagnostic and Heart Center is a wholly owned subsidiary of Pharma CFO's healthcare branch. Care has been in business for the past 3 years, offering advanced diagnostic and treatment procedures performed by internationally trained full-time and consulting specialists, notably in the fields of non-invasive and interventional cardiology, interventional radiology, specialist care, and general practice. The diagnostic department is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment from Siemens or Siemens? Siemens, okay. Siemens, particularly 1.5 TMRI. Okay, I got it right. TMRI, okay. Okay. 64 slice CT, digital mammography, digital X-ray, ecography, ultrasound, and laboratory modalities, hematology, and biochemistry equipment. I mean, okay, so they do everything. Interventional care. I mean, the technical we won't understand, but it's a specialist center. And I think last year, was it last year or early? Yeah, last year. Yeah, we did talk about them. We did see some few videos. And during this program, we'll see some videos from the center, what they do, and the equipment they have. And I mean, state of the art. They've got it all. It's a one-stop center for you. But we are going to look at stroke and the dangers of stroke, because last month, that is October, was it 29th? 29th, right. 29th October, yes. The world celebrated, it was a world stroke day. And stroke is, you know, an ongoing process, an ongoing disease. And so we can never stop talking about it. Let me come to Dr. Chawe. When we talk about stroke, the first thing that comes to mind is somebody who is paralyzed, you know, partly or wholly, either from the down or, you know, top up, half, we can't talk properly. We have a picture of who, I mean, a person suffering from stroke looks like. Is that it?
So that is some of it, definitely. So the typical person who has a stroke is usually, not always, but usually an adult. The older you are, the greater your risk of developing a stroke. And yes, it can and often does leave you with a one-sided, so it's either your left half or your right half, a deficit. And by a deficit, we mean that it's either you can't move that side properly or you can't feel on that side. But that's not the only thing it does to you. It also affects the way you speak, the way you understand, the way you're able to coordinate your movement. And that all depends on where in the brain the stroke has happened. And what, in essence, a stroke is a sudden blockage of blood flow to a part of the brain. It can either be the blockage, as I mentioned, or it can be spillage of blood into part of the blood, the brain, where the blood vessel has been ruptured. There are many different causes, but the most common prevalent risk factor, especially in our country, is hypertension. The unfortunate thing is that almost 50% of Ghanaian adults, that's anyone above the age of 18, has high blood pressure. The majority of people don't know they have high blood pressure and therefore are not treating it, and therefore they can, at any moment, develop a stroke.
So that, Dr. Sarkodie, the sure way of getting a stroke is through hypertension or high blood pressure.
So high blood pressure is one of them. Now, Ohine, I want to ask you a question. Have you had breakfast today? How about lunch? Have you had any meal at all?
Yes, I picked on something.
Okay,
I
good.
think, yeah.
That is why you are here looking strong and healthy and beautiful. Our brains also need to feed.
Wow.
The only way our brains feed is when blood that is in the body brings oxygen to the brain. What happens with stroke is that there will be a disruption of this blood supply to the brain. Just like if you didn't eat today, you'll probably be a bit lethargic,
Right.
you'll be a bit angry for no reason,
I know.
and all sort of things. So this is what happens up in the brain when one gets a stroke, because that blood supply with the oxygen coming to feed the brain is cut off. When that happens, the cells of the brain begin to die. So a stroke is caused by many factors. One of them is high blood pressure. There could be either your vessels, which carry the oxygen to the brain, either getting clogged by a clot or getting a burst. So when there's a burst, it's like a pipe leaking. So the blood will begin to leak into the brain. Or when there's a clot, there is pressure and the blood is not going to where it's supposed to go. So any factor that contributes to the formation of these things I have mentioned is a potential cause of stroke. So high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and a host of other factors will contribute to the formation of disruption of this blood flow in our brain, including smoking and a lot of other things.
So lifestyle is part of it.
Yes, absolutely.
Dr. Dodd Glover,
Yeah.
why does it get so hard in growing old?
Well, I guess with our Ghanaian culture, you know, most of the time when you're a bit plump, people think you're well taken care of. So people don't want to exercise. They want to look nice. So then, you know, they are packing on all this weight. They are eating late. And, you know, we have a stressful lifestyle already. People are working, especially the young people. Because nowadays, the stroke unit where I work, we tend to see a lot of young people getting stroke because of the work that we do. We are
Below
stressed
45?
out. Yes. We are stressed out all the time. It's giving us high blood pressure. We are eating late at night when we come home at 9 p.m. And all this food is getting converted into fat and it's deposited in the blood vessels. So then we are at risk of stroke. And obviously, if you don't have a very active lifestyle, the older you grow, the harder it is to keep active.
You know that thing when you go to church and then a pastor preaches and then you think your mother has gone to say something to the pastor? Has my husband said anything
No,
to
no,
you?
no, 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 no.
You know?
Yeah,
But is it that prevalent
it is.
in our country?
It is. So, you know, well, the stroke unit, once again, where I work, it's a dedicated place where we take care of strokes. And between February 2019 and about March 2020, we saw about 500 cases of stroke. And that is just the stroke unit. And we still had stroke cases going to our major wards. And this is just in Kolebu Teaching Hospital. So you can cast the net across Ghana and see how many stroke cases we are getting. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of mortality whenever we do our mortality meetings. And stroke is at the top.
Stroke is at the top. You know, Dr. Chawe Feli, I'm just wondering, is it also genetic?
Genetic predisposition.
Yes, is it genetic?
It is true that some of the risk factors have genetic predispositions, but just the mere fact of being alive and aging by itself are risk factors. So we do know from studies in populations that are diverse, so where they have Caucasians, Hispanics, African Americans, so these are studies that were mostly done in the US. People of Hispanic and African origin tend to have a higher rate of the risk factor diseases, so heart disease, hypertension, obesity, etc., and therefore appear to have more stroke. For our local African population, Ghanaian population, we are also undergoing demographic changes. So in the past, our lifestyles were different. We didn't have the jobs that we have now.
No.
We would work all day on the farm and then go home and eat an appropriate meal to match all that energy we had spent on the farm.
Right.
Nowadays, we don't do any of that, yet we still eat the same kind of carbohydrate-based, fat-based meals that we did when we were hunting and farming,
Farming,
etc., but we're not doing that appropriate activity. Also, because of
And we're not exercising either.
and we're not exercising, again, for the same reasons that Dr. Glover gave. Culturally, we expect someone who's well-to-do, and we all want to look well-to-do, to be well-endowed, and not only in terms of monetary, but also physically well-endowed. So we think that being overweight is a sign of wealth, rather than a sign of unhealth.
Let me take a break. Listen, we are not killjoy, but we are talking about the harsh realities of life, and we don't need to joke with it. Christmas is coming, and I know Christmas, we just let ourselves go. We tell ourselves that, oh, this is just for the period, and sometimes we go and we can't get back. Well, let me say thank you to our supporters. Go-Got yogurt. As a woman, yogurt is very good for you, and it has to be, Go-Got yogurt. Juice Time, 100% fruit juices. And then Awake Purified Mineral Water and Royal Drinks by Casa Preco Company Limited. House of Food supporters, thank you so much. Auntie Vera, we are so grateful to you. Cake Technique and Yup Cleaning Services. They make sure that our environment is clean, and everything cleaning you need to do, your home, your office, wherever it is, just call them. They will sort you out. And Kodam's Gift and Stationery. Everything gifts. Christmas is here. Everything gifts. Just go there and you get what you want. Our website, www.thestandpoint.com.gh, is powered by Dream Over. You see, my voice has come down. now I'm thinking, talking stuff, thinking, man, this is no joke, Well, The Standpoint is on 6 platforms now, and then we'd repeat as well. We are on Joy Prime on Sundays at 6:30 p.m., repeated on Thursdays at 11 p.m. On Saturdays at 8 p.m., we are on EBN TV, repeated on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. On Wednesdays, 9 p.m., we are on Truth TV, which is on the multi-TV platform, and then repeated on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Sunday, 8 p.m., we are streaming on Facebook and YouTube, and our website, www.thestandpoint.com.gh. This is the program to sponsor. This is the program to advertise on. This is the program to support. So you can tell your story and advertise and sell your product, whatever it is, services you want to offer. Just come. This Christmas, we have a wonderful package for you. So please, please, please support us. We take a break. When we come back, we'll look at the symptoms. Welcome back to The Standpoint. Again, I say thank you to GTP for my cloth. That is Inshroma. Thank you so much to Ophelia Crossland Design for sewing it for me. I love the outfit. Makeup products by Cone Professional Makeup, and Facebook by @IAM_JCloud. Where are you going this Christmas? Just call him and he will sort you out. He will just give you that natural look. And my Wake Up by Inshilo G8. She has wigs for every pocket, low, high, whatever it is. She has the wig for you. Now, to my panel, yes, I'm in a hurry to learn more. Let me come back to you, Dr. Glover. So what are the symptoms? Because you see, you are at the stroke unit.
Yes.
Don't you get scared? That's just by the way, but what are the symptoms?
Well, so assuming you're out in public, how do you know someone has a stroke? We have an acronym, we call it FAST. F-A-S-T. So F stands for face. So you know how your friend's face looks like. Suddenly the face is twisted, the mouth is twisted to one side, and you know they are not joking. That's not, it's not time to play. Then A stands for arm. So you find that maybe all of a sudden they are slammed on one side, they can't raise their arm. Then S is for speech, where they are either unable to talk completely or the speech has become slurred. Then T is for time. It means it's time to call the ambulance. In Ghana, it might mean it's time to rush to the hospital. Exactly. So these are the things that usually we will look out for. There are, however, some strokes that don't present exactly like this. The person might just be
even with this
confused.
fast, what about if it happens to you and you're home alone? I mean, how do you know
Yes.
that this is, a sign of stroke and I
Yes,
need to
so-
rush to the hospital?
Exactly. So maybe you start feeling numbness. You realize that you are unable to move one part of your body. You may have a sudden blackout where it's as if somebody pulled a curtain over your eyes and then suddenly you can see again. And usually that's a warning sign, okay? There's some people that might have weakness. It will last about an hour and they're back to normal. We call it a transient ischemic attack. It's a mini stroke, and it's usually a warning stroke because usually in the next few days, you're about to have a full-blown stroke. So the same fast, if you're alone or if you're with somebody, applies to the individuals. And then these other minor ones that I spoke about, like a curtain over your face, or you have weakness that goes away completely, it might still be a stroke.
Right.
If you don't see the weakness, it does not necessarily mean that it is not a stroke. So you still would have to rush to the hospital.
Right.
Because we are talking about acute stroke care. Acute is acute and it's time bound.
Yeah. Okay. Now give it. Okay. Steady. Christmas tree. Okay. Now, so Dr. Glover has just went acute. So there are stages, right?
Yeah.
Or there are, as they say,
Yes.
levels of
Yes.
stroke. Yeah. If you can take us through that. How,
Right.
At what point does it become, acute?
Right. So, like she said, time is key, especially in the management of any stroke. There is a window period within which normally we can do a lot to possibly even reverse the effects of the stroke. And so typically within 4.5 hours, the first 4.5 hours, that something happens, it is important that one reports to the hospital. There's something called door to needle. That is from the time that you leave your house, from the time of the incident to when you report to a hospital. If you're able to come within 4.5 hours, which is what she mentioned and meant by acute stroke, within that period, there is some medications that we can give to reverse the stroke. There are also some mini procedures, like a mini surgery that we can do to put some tubes into the brain and bring out the clots. And so once people begin to see some of these symptoms that she mentioned, it is absolutely important to report to the hospital. Yes, it is good to call your pastor, but as you are calling the pastor,
You're
as
on
you
your
are
way to the
praying,
hospital.
you are on your way to the hospital.
Right.
Because if we miss that window period, in most cases, we can't do anything again except to do rehabilitation, which is what a lot of us are doing now. So people come and we just have to manage them and try and do rehabilitation. But there is a window. Within that window, like I mentioned, especially the first few hours, if you are able to come to the hospital, you may be a candidate for treatment that may be able to reverse your stroke.
So, Doc, in simple English that I know, stroke is treatable if you report early.
Most of it
Potentially.
may potentially be treatable if you report early.
So, is it possible that sometimes your first sign means, like you've reached the irreversible stage?
So it depends on what that first sign is. I think we all need to establish first that a stroke is a sudden onset. So you asked about stages. It doesn't really have
Have to-
stages.
okay.
You are seemingly fine,
You
then
are.
all of a sudden you are
Sudden.
not fine. Yeah? The treatment has stages where we say that you're in the acute phase in this period. Within 4.5 hours, we can potentially reverse and so on.
Right.
So any sudden onset
Right.
of your hands are not working properly, you're not speaking properly, you're not thinking properly, you don't feel normal. As soon as you feel, you know yourself. Everybody knows themselves.
Right.
As soon as you feel something is not right, the best bet is get yourself to hospital as quickly as possible. Let a medical person tell you, oh, don't worry, this is nothing. Or yes, this is a stroke and we have to treat it this way or some other way.
And those who believe in the herbal treatment, sometimes it happens at the first point of call as the herbal center, or call, a herbalist or somebody a grandma or a grandpa, to tell you what to do. And they will swear by everything that it's worked for other people.
So absolutely
try
right. Yes, that unfortunately happens and happens a lot. For those who have improved, they improved anyway, because the brain, the human body, has mechanisms where it tries to fix itself. Otherwise, we'd all just, the first illness, that's it.
Then we're gone.
So those who have gotten better have usually gotten better because they would have gotten better anyway.
Right.
The thing with saying that herbal medications works or doesn't work is that for our conventional medicine, we do trials, we have studies, we have looked at it in masses of populations, and we have proof that this is what works, this doesn't work, this potentially helps, this potentially doesn't help. The problem with the herbal medication is no one has any evidence.
Okay. Now,
So I would rather stake my life on someone who has spent everything to prove that, yes, this works and has proven it. And these are national, international organizations that have said, yes, these methods of treatment work or don't work.
I know your care is taking that seriously and is educating the public on this, and plans to even translate do programs in the local dialect to explain to people and so on and so forth. But doctors, sometimes the problem gets worse at the hospital. Sometimes the first sign, the person is rushed to the hospital. By the time it takes for the person to be treated or to be attended to, yes, let me use the word. Dr. Glover,
Yes.
Kalebu, the time it takes for the person to be attended to can either make or unmake the person.
Absolutely.
Dr. Chawe Feli,
Yes.
let
So
me.
stroke or any disease for that matter is a national problem. It's a population problem. It's the problem of the general public, and then a problem of healthcare. So when we're talking about stroke, it's to educate the public, but it's not just to educate the public. It's to educate also other health professionals and to educate the policy makers who decide how many hospitals there are per district or region, who is working in those hospitals, etc. Unfortunately, we are, although fairly well endowed as a country, our healthcare system, we all have to be honest, the public healthcare system at least, fails in many of the aspects because there are just simply not enough doctors, there are simply not enough nurses, and there are not the facilities for the doctors and nurses to use to provide appropriate health care.
Right.
So as a public, and as those who are making policies for health care, these things need to be taken into consideration to know that, for example, in our population, we have this amount of hypertension, we have this amount of diabetes. Potentially every fourth adult may get a stroke. So the government plans ahead.
Hold on. Potentially, every four.
One in
One
four.
in four persons.
Every 1 in 4
Yes.
persons.
Exactly.
Every 1
I'll
in
give
4.
you a really unfortunate example. Tofiakwa. One of us here, one of us will get a stroke. Potentially. If we don't do the right things.
Whoa.
Yes.
And so these are things that the public needs to know, the policymakers need to know, the hospital administrations need to know, so that we can provide the appropriate care. We would be very hypocritical if we say that everything is perfect everywhere. It is not.
Right.
Yeah. But at least if the public knows where they can seek the care that they require, know that seeking health is expensive. Your life has no price.
Yeah.
So you should also be prepared if there are certain things you need to do to maintain your health. Unfortunately, the reality is most of our healthcare costs come out of pocket.
But Dr. Glover, there's this perception that it's the rich and affluent ones who get stroke. Is it true?
Well, that's not true.
Well, at least from my experience, and as Dr. Chawe had mentioned earlier, a lot of us are going about with high blood pressure and we don't know it, because high blood pressure usually will not give you any symptoms until you probably get a stroke or you have a heart attack or your kidneys fail. So most of us are going about, the charcoal seller has high blood pressure, the rich man has high blood pressure. So you cannot say that it's a disease for only the rich and the affluent. Anybody and everybody can be affected.
Let me take a break. When we come back, we'll look at the way forward. What do we need to know? What do we have to do to ensure that, first of all, we can, as much as possible, prevent it. I'm laughing because, from Dr. Chawefeli, there's very little you can do to prevent it. But, knowledge is power. Interesting, just yesterday, my doctor called me and was educating me. I was complaining about symptoms of, menopause that I've started exhibiting. And he said, somehow, when you know and understand it, the effect on you is minimal. Because psychologically, you are prepared. So it doesn't really take that toll on you, and you know what to do at every given time. So knowledge is power. Well, this particular program is sponsored by Eurocare Advanced Diagnostic and Heart Center. And Eurocare Advanced Diagnostic and Heart Center is a wholly owned subsidiary of Eurapharma, CFO's healthcare branch. Eurocare has been in business for the past 3 years and offering advanced diagnostic and treatment procedures performed by internationally trained full-time and consulting specialists, notably in the fields of non-invasive and interventional cardiology, interventional radiology, and specialist care, and a general practice. When they say interventional and non-invasive, like they're not going to cut you, but just very little. I mean, it's amazing when you go there, you see, and I'm sure we'll see videos, of how the treatment, look on camera, Charlie, they're advanced, We're going to say thank you to Cone Professional on makeup, and then Easter on balloons and accessories. Christmas is here. Balloons are for all occasions. Christmas is here. We need to look our best. So we go for the right makeup. You don't turn up at an event looking like, I don't want to mention anything, But above all things, Christmas is here. You need to stay healthy. We'll be back. Welcome back to The Standpoint. We're still looking at the dangers of stroke. And if you're not scared yet, I don't know what else will scare you. But remember, you can always watch this program or have a review of it on YouTube, The Standpoint YouTube channel, or on Facebook, The Standpoint Facebook, or on our website, www.thestandpoint.com.gh. Like our page, turn on your notifications so that anytime we are streaming any new program, you'll get to know. Again, we say thank you to all our supporters, all our sponsors, and especially to Eurocare for sponsoring this particular segment for us to bring it to you, especially as women. Maybe women, more men, from the statistics being, looks like more men get it. Men get it more than women. Right? But then whatever it is, it comes back to the women. Because when a man gets it, when the husband gets it, when their uncle gets it, when the grandfather gets it, it's still going to be a woman who has to, take him to the hospital and everything. And I know this because my dad died from stroke, which sent him into coma, and he never came back. So this is quite touchy and expensive. And my mom too had a combination of diabetes, cholesterol, and hypertension. And that's what finally took her away at the age of 75. But Dr. Sarkodie, when I say doc, I don't even know which one. Dr. Sarkodie. So the way forward, information indeed power. What do we do?
I think the way forward is what we have started here. And Ohine, you let me apologize if I've scared you or I've scared the audience.
No, this is good scare.
We really want to empower people.
Yeah.
We want people to know the signs and symptoms of stroke. We want people to know that in a lot of cases we can be able to help. And we want people to also take care of themselves. And I'm sure we will talk about how to prevent the strokes, which is the golden thing we actually want to achieve.
Right.
We don't even want people to get a stroke.
Right.
But it so happens that regardless of what we do, we will still get some people coming down with stroke.
Right. We'll get to I'm sure Dr. Chawefeli will be talking about that. But, sometimes, we get these, I get it. Sometimes, you just get these numbness, your fingers suddenly or your hand suddenly feels funny, save the fantasy, why it, kind of, okay, you can, okay, you know, you can't do, and it feels really numb. You know, your hand, either your right hand or your left hand feels, then after a while, it goes away and you're just fine. You know, is that also something that you need to be worried about? Do I come to you, Dr. Chawefali?
That's fine.
Okay.
So usually, the example that you gave, usually no.
Okay.
Most of the time, you know it's because you've been in a certain position, you've sat,
right.
crossed your legs, or you've been lying on your hand, etc. And when you shake it off, it goes away. That's absolutely nothing to worry about.
Okay.
It's usually when it's a combination of everything on the same side. So your face, your hand, your leg. It's hardly ever just a little bit of your hand, etc.
Okay.
And then because everyone has experienced
And it's
a little
part
bit
of
of
your
numbness,
face, part of your hand, part of your leg.
all on the same
on
side.
On the same side.
Yeah.
Okay.
The times when it's difficult, sometimes even for medical personnel, to identify the stroke are those rare things that Dr. Dodge Glover mentioned, like sudden nausea and vomiting, sudden dizziness. Those can sometimes be hard to diagnose as a stroke. But the common person can usually tell when this is a stroke. Everything on one side. It's either all numb, or it's all weak, or it's numb and weak, or speech has changed, or not speaking at all, or loss of consciousness.
Okay.
You know what? If you're not sure, better safe than sorry. Get yourself to hospital, let the doctor tell you you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
this comes so suddenly.
Exactly.
Suddenly, okay. We'll get to the prevent, but it just occurred to me, are there different types of strokes? Because I've heard about sunstroke and
Heat stroke.
heat stroke. Heat stroke, okay. Heat stroke.
Well, so that is technically not something to do with the blood vessels.
Okay.
So when we're talking about a stroke in this setting,
Yeah.
it has to do with the blood vessel. That is
Okay.
why it's a sudden thing.
Okay.
It's either it's blocked and so you have sudden symptoms,
Okay.
or it's burst and you have sudden symptoms.
And with that, stroke is stroke. There are no specific
So
sense of-
so we call them either an ischemic stroke, which is the clot,
Okay.
or hemorrhagic stroke, which is the blood burst. Yeah.
Okay, and there's nothing like mild stroke or anything like that. Oh, Dr. Chawefeli, you want to come in?
like to avoid using
Yeah.
things like mild stroke.
Because
Because
I'm asking
psychologically-
because these are terms we use a lot.
A lot.
Yes.
I'm personally not in favor of
Yeah.
them because the psychologically everyone wants to be fine. So when you tell someone that, oh, it was just a mild stroke, to them that means, oh, it wasn't serious. And so they don't take it seriously and they don't follow the recommendation seriously because it was just mild. I got lucky. I'll get lucky again next time. No one ever thinks about tomorrow that tomorrow I won't be so lucky.
Right.
So we try not to use those terms. It is true that someone may have not very pronounced difficulties, disability.
Right.
Some will have very pronounced disability.
Right.
And so you can theoretically use the word mild for that. But I have seen things being called mild that were
That's
not mild at all. And it was just to make them feel better that, oh, it was just a mild stroke. A stroke is a stroke. Any stroke is dangerous. So Dr. Dodge Glover mentioned a transient ischemic attack.
Right.
That's when symptoms like a stroke happen and they go away on their own within 1 hour. Yes, we can theoretically call that mild, but what it is a major warning sign that you have to take things seriously and put measures in place so that a big stroke doesn't happen.
Okay, so which of you is going to take the preventive measures today? Do I come to... Okay, let me come to you, Dr.
Right.
Dot Glover.
Yeah, so prevention is better than cure. So we mentioned modifiable risk factors and non-modifiable risk factors. So the things that we can do in terms of prevention has to do with the modifiable risk factors. Modifiable risk factors, we are looking at hypertension. So your doctor has told you have high blood pressure, and they gave you medication for maybe 1 month, and they said, come back. At the end of the 1 month, it doesn't mean stop taking the medication. Oh, it do not stand. That's what they say. So then they're fine, yeah. But hypertension, we control it, we manage it. So we need to put you on medication. Sometimes, depending on the lab tests that we do, we might need to change the medications that you're on. Okay. So it's important to maintain your reviews, your follow-up appointments. Very important. The same with diabetes. Know your numbers. It's very important so that when your blood sugar is going too high, we know that we probably have to add on to your medication. Okay? And then exercise, very important. Avoid sedentary lifestyle. If there's obesity, and we have cutoff points for all of these. So we want you to do at least 30 minutes of exercise, moderate intensity exercise, 5 days in a week. Okay. That counts about 150 minutes in 5 days in a week, so 150 minutes a week, averagely.
You can do treadmill.
You can. But you see, if you have some heart conditions, your doctor has to advise and
Okay.
tell you which ones you can do and which ones you cannot do, right? So it's always graded. It's better to go graded. If you've never exercised, don't get up one day to go and do rigorous. That can be also dangerous.
Right.
Okay, and then the food that we eat, the salt cuts down. Yes, the cholesterol, the fat-filled foods, the domedo, you know, all these things that we eat. Yes, we need to watch what we are eating, what we are putting into our bodies. Very, very important.
Let me add that, like you said earlier on, there's a lot of stress in our life these days.
Yeah.
I mean, people working the whole time. Sometimes don't even take a break to eat. I'm a corporate sometimes myself. I think that we have to find ways to manage our stress levels. We have to reduce our alcohol intake. And I'm not saying nobody should take alcohol, but reduce it. Let's manage it.
Right.
If you smoke, again, quitting is even better. In the long term, it will save your vessels.
Right.
For people who have high cholesterol, sometimes we put them on medications. It's important that they stay on these medications. Again, one of the most difficult things is that because people may have diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, and they don't have any symptoms. So they feel, okay, this medication is done, it's finished, and I'm not going to go on the medication again. You are damaging your vessels.
You know, sometimes, Doc, you go for your medicals and they tell you, well, your cholesterol is a bit high, but it's okay, it's manageable.
Yeah, there are levels where we can manage with diet, levels we can manage with diet and exercise, and there are levels where we need to add medications. In fact, in some people, they may not even have high cholesterol, but we still put them on medication because they have a high risk for some of these cardiovascular diseases.
We are going into Christmas, and very soon we'll be going into a new year. We'll be making New Year resolutions. As for this year, hopefully there isn't going to be any new virus. COVID-19 is going to go away. What should we take home with us going into Christmas? What do we need to watch out for? What do we need to change?
I'm sure a lot of us are looking forward to ending the year and hoping that COVID-19 goes away with, you know, the end of the year.
With the year 2020.
We pray it happens. But let's remember that even as we are making merry and feasting, let's eat in moderation, and let's also remember to exercise and take our medications. Don't skip your medications, please.
Don't skip your medications. That's if you've been. That is when you've been to the hospital and you've been
diagnosed and prescribed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Sarkodie.
Yes, for me, if you didn't hear anything at all from this discussion, I leave you with FAST. F-A-S-T. We have already explained what this thing stands for.
But please, let's go over it.
Okay, so first of all, if you are sitting somewhere doing something and all of a sudden your face starts moving to one side, drooling, then you know it is time to do something. That is what the F stands for. If all of a sudden you are sitting and you feel your leg has just become weak, your one side is becoming weak, it is time for you to seek intervention. And that is, again, the A for the arm. Okay, and then if all of a sudden you are sitting here and your speech begins to turn into French, it starts, you know, then you know that you've never spoken French and yet you are speaking French now. It's time to seek help. And the T is it's time to make a move. It's time to call the ambulance. It's time to get a taxi. It's time to get to the hospital.
Time is brain.
And again, make sure that during this period, it's good to call our pastors. It's good to call our family and everybody. But while we're doing all of that, the key is for you to try and get to hospital. We know we have our problems in the hospital. But this is why we are educating not just the public, our own colleagues. And the stroke team, Dr. Palu and others have been going around the whole nation, educating doctors on stroke, letting them know what to look out for and all of that. So it is time for us, all of us, to change our attitude towards the disease. It's time for us to empower ourselves by getting to know all of these things that we are discussing. Like you said earlier, when you know about something, you prepare better for it.
Dr. Chawefali, finally.
So 2 things. The first thing is never too early in your life to lead a healthy lifestyle.
Right.
The earlier you start, the longer the effect will last. So no matter your age, whether or not you think you have any illnesses, be fit, eat appropriately, healthily, avoid cigarettes, don't smoke, don't use illicit drugs, moderate your alcohol use, exercise, and eat well. The second thing is, if you are unfortunate, and no matter how hard you've tried, you've still developed hypertension, diabetes, etc., please take your medications, do your medicals, make sure that you remain fit. If again you've been unfortunate and you've already had a stroke, it's still not too late to make the changes and to make sure you don't get a second stroke, a third stroke, because the more stroke you have, the greater the disability that you have, especially the kind of disability that is not visible to the eye. So everyone can see if you're weak on one side. The problem is also your ability to think, ability to make decisions. And if this is the person who makes the decisions in the house and they can't subtract 7 from 10 because the stroke has damaged that ability, that's devastating for both the individual and the population, the public that the community they live in. So prevention, again, we can't say this often enough, is always better than cure. You failed the first time, the secondary prevention. Please follow your doctor's instructions.
So the effect that
now that we've been sitting for about an hour,
we'll stretch very soon. We'll stretch, you know,
Off camera.
We'll stretch very soon. But I mean, you know, I mean, from what I get from you, the effect, the side effects of stroke is not always physical.
Yes.
yeah.
It's not always physical. It happens. It can happen to the brain. And
Exactly.
your arms will be working and everything, but then the
People
brain.
who have had a
the brain.
stroke are more likely to develop depression, have anxiety, develop dementia, and you don't want any of those things, because especially dementia, by the time you have developed dementia, the boat has long gone for trying to fix it or to reverse it. By then, there's no talk of reversal at all. So everything you do is to avoid these things from happening.
Now, how do we access UraCare? If people need to ask questions, if people need to come for a test, how do we get there? How do we get to the team? Dr. Sarkodie?
Well, so there are a couple of numbers. I'm sure we'll share them on the screen.
Yes.
You can call any of those numbers, and UraCare will be more than happy to receive you. People can also walk in. They can come for health checks. We have been talking about the need to check your BP, your blood pressure, your sugar levels, and all those things you can come there and do and make sure that you are healthy and fit.
Well, thank you very much for this education. Indeed, it's been revealing. And no, we don't mean to spoil your Christmas for you, but this knowledge is power. I learned long ago that, you know, they used to say that what you don't know doesn't kill you these days. I mean, they say what you don't know doesn't kill you. But these days, what you don't know is what kills you. It actually kills you. So definitely, this is power. This is a gift to us. And we are grateful for this education. We hope we can do this as often as we can, as and when, to make sure that it's sustainable. They're sustainable, because really, most of us don't know much about this. 1 in 4. 1 in 4.
Whether NDC or MPP.
MPP or boom or LPG, you know, it is well. Thank you very much for this, and may God continue to increase your knowledge, and may science improve, may research improve, so that we get to a time when stroke is totally preventable and totally treatable. And let the church say amen.
Amen.
But in the meantime, we'll be careful. I'll be back with a bit of me. Well, the elections are over. If your party lost, if your candidate lost, no need to stress. You know, sometimes we get worried, we let these things get to us, that people, to the extent that some people even get heart attack and develop all sorts of conditions. For what? Politics is all about development. It's all about numbers. It's about winning, losing. If your candidate lost this time, please let it go. There's always the next 4 years. Our health is paramount. You need to be alive. You need to be healthy. You need to be strong to be able to become an achiever. Stroke, as we've learned today, is real. 1 in 4. Now, that's scary. But hey, now we know, so we need to be careful. We are told that your last meal should be 2 hours before you go to sleep. We need to take exercises seriously. If you have a desk, a job, you have to make sure that after every 30 minutes you get up to stretch, or you walk to the kitchen or to the fridge or to the washroom and come back. Please, knowledge is power. Today, wherever you are, anytime you see this message, a bit of me, pledge to live right. Pledge to live a healthy lifestyle. Pledge to do the things that will help you stay far away from stroke. You can try your best. And just in case you see the signs, as we've been told today, the sudden, slurring, speech impairment, the sudden weakness in parts of your body, sometimes vomiting, sometimes headache, you rush to the nearest hospital. And sometimes it's very important to know which hospital you go to. God has got us. God has got us. He's brought us this far. He would definitely see us through. But he has also given us wisdom. Let's apply it. Let's live right. Let's eat well. Let's exercise. Let's do all the things that we need to do to avoid getting a stroke. Thanks for watching. See you same time next week. Bye for now.